Has anybody in this room ever experienced a situation in which things did not go according to plan? Raise your hand if that has ever happened to you. Can anybody give me brief examples? Don't elongate the story, I just want brief examples. Benny.
One time when my parents came over from Venezuela, my grandparents from Venezuela came over, they said that, oh, maybe after today we'll do this or that, and in the end it didn't work out.
So we had a plan that didn't work out. Good. Eli, quick.
Test score.
Didn't get the right test score. Michael.
Opportunity overlaps and changes instead of 90 days.
Okay. So I want to share a personal story with you all. I don't know if I've shared it before, but it's a very relevant story to what we're talking about. So here we go. This upcoming March 16th, I will celebrate my 8th wedding anniversary with my wife. But 8 years ago, my wedding date was actually planned to be on May 31st. What happened was, 2 months before the wedding, I get a very frantic phone call from my mother-in-law. She was hysterical crying. She said, my mother's not most likely making it to May 31st. She's very, very sick. She has breast cancer. I would really like it for her to be there at the wedding. Can we make the wedding a little bit earlier, March 16th? Now, in my mind, Grandma Helen being at the wedding, like that's plan A. That's the way we're going to have the wedding the way we want. Of course, Mom, whatever you need, let's make it March 16th. We'll get it done. Unfortunately, 3 days before the wedding, Grandma Helen passed away. Needless to say, the vibe in the family was that of devastation. It was complete depression mode. Grandma Helen was one of the most amazing women on planet Earth. It was very special just to be around her. Now, when I was there in her presence, I wasn't really married into the family, so I wasn't so confident to speak in front of her, but just being around her made you feel at peace. You were happy when you were around her. So to not have her at this wedding was significant. And what made matters even worse was, now we're talking about my wife's immediate family, so her mother, her aunts and uncles, her grandfather, they're all in mourning. They all can't be a part of the experience the way that we wanted it to be. Things are not going according to the way that we had envisioned, the way we planned. And boys, we have a problem. Because most people in this room, most human beings on this planet have this same difficulty. When things do not go according to plan, we buckle. We get paralyzed. There's a feeling that overcomes us that does not allow for us to navigate forward. Now, there's many reasons. I want to focus on one. And I firmly believe a difficulty that we experience when it comes to seeing things play out the way we want is we very much need to be in control of our lives. And when we recognize that we are not in control of our lives, we become so vulnerable that that feeling paralyzes us and it makes us numb to figure out how we can move forward. And so, boys, we have two categories in life. We have things that we can control, and then there are things that we cannot control. And that's pretty much the way we navigate life. And for the most part, we try to stay in the lane of what we can control. Things that we can't control, we stay away from, we avoid. Can anybody give me an example of something that you can control that no matter what happens, it is within your control to make sure that it gets done? Any examples of what you can do in your own life to control? Elliot. You can do your homework. You can make a decision that when you get home, you're going to do your homework. That is within your control. Excellent. What else? Isaac.
try your hardest and everything.
You can give full effort at whatever it is that you're doing. That's something that is within your control. You can also decide what snack you want to eat when you get home. You can also decide maybe what video game you're going to play when you get home. There are things within your life that you have the capacity to control. However, there are also things that we do not have the capacity to control. Can anybody give me an example? Michael. The weather. Fantastic. Love that one. You can't control the weather. No matter how hard you try, you cannot control the weather. Excellent. What else?
Parents.
Your parents, your family. You can't control who they are. You inherited them. Right? How about your teachers? How about the school that you're in? Did anybody here decide that I should be in the room right now? That was not in your control. That was something that was forced upon you. Now, hopefully you like my presence, right? That's a separate conversation. But you did not make the choice that I should be in the room right now. So there are things that are happening to you that are not within your control. And for the most part, most human beings operate within control and not in control. But boys, there's a third category that most individuals choose not to recognize. And if we tapped into this mindset, it can change our lives drastically. And that is the category of influence. Influence, by definition, is that which is in your capacity to change of what is not in your control. So I can do something that's within my capacity. It won't guarantee me the results that I want, but it maximizes my chances to get what it is that I want. So for example, we mentioned that we can't control the weather, right, Michael? We go outside. Plan A is that we don't get wet from the rain. So it would be preferable if it didn't rain outside, right? But there is still something you can do that is within your control to prevent yourself from getting wet. What could you do, Michael? You can use an umbrella. You can wear a jacket. The bottom line is, boys, you didn't want to be wet. You know what the problem is? Sometimes we get so focused on what it is that we can't control, like the weather, and we can't think of what plan B, C, or D is. We get so overcome with anger because it's not fair that this is the weather outside. It's not fair that my teacher teaches me this style. It's not fair that my coach didn't put me into the game and I didn't get enough playing time. It's not fair that I didn't make the basketball team. And we go on and on and on. But boys, what it really boils down to is, what do you want and how are you going to get it? That's the bottom line. And what category C, influence, allows for you to do is it simply says, what objective did you have when you were trying to control your life? Good, you have that objective. Now try to go about it in a number of different ways. What does plan B, C, and D look like? But you have to be willing to let go of the fact that you cannot control every facet of your life. Frankly, I would argue that if you could control every piece of your life, that would be a pretty boring life. Because if you knew everything that was going to happen to you in your lifetime and you had the capacity to control it, where would be the excitement? Where would be the challenge? Where would be the growth? None of it would exist. So boys, there's really one question that's left. Do you want to control your life, or do you want to influence your life? If you want to control your life, be prepared to feel devastated. Because life doesn't work like that. You can't just control everything. I'm not saying this because I'm a prophet. I'm saying it because I am a realist. That is the way life works. The sooner you can come to terms with that, the sooner you can actually make real meaningful change in your life. And boys, 8 years ago, that is what I needed to do. Because for me, I was known as the life of the party. as the guy who loves dancing and who loves making weddings even that much more meaningful. Sometimes I even think people invite me to their weddings just so I could dance at their weddings. And I sat there 8 years ago, 3 days before my wedding, and I was depressed. Because Plan A said that my wedding had to be a certain way. Certain people had to be there. Certain things needed to happen the way that it was supposed to be. But life gave us another alternative. It said, not going to work this way. So you have two choices, Aaron. And I took the latter. And I said to myself, I'm going to go with Plan B. And I'm going to do whatever is necessary to make sure that my wedding is the best wedding ever. And it was. And I made sure that my wife had a smile on her face. And I did what I could to hopefully allow my mother-in-law to be happy in that moment. It wasn't ideal. It wasn't Plan A. It wasn't the way that I wanted it to be done. But there's what you want, and then there's getting stuff done. So if you just want to get stuff done, think about what you want. You want control or you want influence? Influence, maybe, just maybe, will allow you to get what you want. Think about it. Shabbat shalom.